Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Riven. I hope you're having a great week. Happy Sunday. We have Meredith in the chat, getting lunch into the slow cooker. Slow cookers, underrated technology, thoroughly underrated technology. I absolutely love almost everything that comes out of my slow cooker. The only countertop appliance I would recommend more than a slow cooker is in the same price bracket, because obviously, like, you know, a mixer's great, but like mixers are well expensive, and like, yeah, rice cookers. Rice cookers are so, like, I have genuine regret that it took me 35 odd years before someone told me to go and buy a rice cooker, and game changing. Absolute game changer of an appliance. But I love my slow cooker. We use our slow cooker twice a week. It makes such a big difference to be able to put stuff on when you're on your lunch break and then just have dinner ready for you when you want to eat it. So good. If you combine it with a rice cooker, you can have your rice and your slow cooked meal ready for whenever you want to eat it. If you're making like a chili con carne or something, absolutely brilliant. Right, last time out. So, by way of introduction, that's great. Last time out, however, we were making great progress with the fire marble puzzle. Where we're up to, right, to give you a little bit of a recap, we're pretty sure we know where the marbles need to go. It's like here, here, here. These pictures aren't like the best graphical quality, let's say, but I'm pretty sure we know where that, right? So we know the where, but we don't know the what. And the what is which colours are we doing? Now we have a little bit of a theory. We had a little bit of a theory going that Gehn did not understand how the colours relate to powers of 5. And I thought, well, actually, the red one kind of stands apart, because it's almost like we're missing a 7th one. So the red one is sort of a thing on its own, so maybe that's the one that we're not going to use. Unfortunately, pretty sure that's the one on the village dome. So we're trying to look at the other domes to see if there is some way of seeing what's on those domes. This dome, on what I have been told in the comments section, is probably called Plateau Island, is very hard to see because it spins and the zeotrope is off centre, probably deliberately. Prison Island, which we were calling Alcatraz Island last week, a subtle reference to the fact that my assertion that Catherine is probably on that island. Prison Island, also, we're not going to be able to see what the dome is, right? So my thinking is that Prison Island is going to be the one where we need to work out what colour goes in there by process of elimination of the other colours. Let's take this back and have a look at the one which is spinning at the bottom of Crater Island, which I've also been told is not commonly called Crater Island. Unfortunately, our resident lore expert in the YouTube comment section, who always provides incredibly interesting insight into the background lore of this game, I forgot to make notes. Maybe I need to add that to my pre-stream checklist, is go and bring up the YouTube comment section for the last video so that I can actually reference the people by name. Amar Chamak, first time chatter, welcome to the chat. You've always called it Crater Island. Okay. Well, maybe I'm in good company on that point then. I'll stick with Crater Island for now. So the dome, which is... So we're on Crater Island right now. The dome, which is on Crater Island... It's a good point. We didn't actually spend terribly much time in Gehn's little summer house here, actually. I'm not sure if we... Maybe... Did we really exhaust all of these options? Not sure. We'll come back here in a little while. First of all, there's a very specific thing I want to look at, and that is whether we can find a way to the Zeotrope here. Oh, this is going very slowly, actually. A lot more slowly than the other one is. Yeah, I reckon we'd be able to see that. That looks like a yellow to me. The eye is certainly open, and it's this way round. Yeah, I reckon this is just going slow enough that you can see it. Let's see what that comes out as. Yeah, I have a feeling that that's going to be yellow, then. Have I found how to stop this dome? No, I have not. There's a hole in the wall right here, so that's where the Zeotrope is for this one. But no, haven't found a way into that room yet. There's another passage behind another door, obviously, isn't it? I said last time that this wasn't going to get us again. I did say that. Rand. You sneaky, sneaky guy. Okay. It's going to be sort of... That's weird. It sort of looks like it's... There we go, got it. That's nothing like what it looked like when it was actually spinning. What? Are you joking me? The animation when it's actually spinning, right, which is definitely this one, doesn't look anything like that. So this is kind of interesting. Does this mean we can't actually trust the thing as it spins? Huh, interesting. Well, that's really important to know. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Going back to our notes over here then. Purple. So purple is Crater Island. All right. Now, I'm assuming there's not really going to be anything terribly interesting sort of in this dome. It's just going to be another book. Yeah, I can literally see it. It's just another linking book. Oh, is that famous last words, though? Is that famous last words? Come on. It's probably a good idea to check that it is indeed just a linking book. Lunch is in the slow cooker. How am I and the family? We are doing okay. We've been very ill on and off over the last couple of weeks, which is, you know, occupational hazard of having kids, right? But, yeah. So once again, this is pointing to the same place as last time, right? That is the 98th. And but we have no power. We have no power to the linking book, which is sort of as we have come to expect. Let me know if the game audio is a little bit loud in places. We can knock it down. It's not the 98th, but the same place. Interesting. Okay. I thought, well, I guess it depends on which base you're counting in. Artavelli, first time catching the stream live. Welcome. Good to see you in the chat. Don't forget to look up. What? Oh no, that's the wrong door. Yes, it's 98 if you translate it directly to a base 10. But that's kind of interesting. Well, because Gehn is putting two digits next to each other rather than... Well, I haven't really worked out how the natural numbering would go beyond 25. This is how I've got up to 24, let's say. So I suppose it's probably a base 24 counting system, effectively. Look up. Oh, there's a pipe. Well, that's interesting. Wait, where would that pipe be going? Oh, right, yes. No. This is the pipe that would be powering the thing. Yes. Because what we've got in our notes, we have it somewhere here. Yes, so the dome, which has the 5 pipes coming out of it, is going to the 5 domes on the 5 islands. We're trying to work out where and which fire marble to put onto the grid. And yes, the where is the topographical map. You're absolutely correct. The which is what we're currently trying to work out. So we've got red and we've got purple placed. So I think we're pretty happy on the wheres, as long as the wheres kind of roughly correspond to how the puzzle pieces need to fit together. We also have this clue here about the 5th item for the animal puzzle. Pick up that thread in just a second. So the domes, then. So as I said, we can't get to Prison Island to see what the dome is on that island. We've been to Village Island, Crater Island. There must be a way to get to the dome on the first island, and judging by sort of where it is, it's on a rock behind the main dome, and we can look sort of more details as to where we would try and find that later in a minute. Prison Island we can't get to. Crater Island we've done. What I've called Puzzle Island is the Plateau Island. So that's the one where the zeotrope is misaligned, so we can't see it. So yeah, so it's Plateau Island and the first island are the two that we can try and look up. The last one, Prison Island, we know we're not going to be able to get to. So we might have to do 2 different attempts. Right? Unless there's a way to work out which of these 6 is not the one that's used. Which we might be able to work out because there is a clue that Gehn doesn't understand the numbering system. Okay. Picking up the thread then from the animal puzzle, we do have this clue about where the final animal clue might be located. So last week, when monitoring the situation of the villagers from the scope in my survey room, I observed one of the natives swim out to a small object that appeared to be floating but anchored near the entrance to the bay. I ordered the object removed from the water for inspection. Several days later, I was surprised to see another floating there. The missing object had apparently and quite mysteriously been replaced by a new one overnight. Long been aware of the existence of similar artefacts in the village's islands, but have paid them little notice until now. Tomorrow I shall send surveyors to catalogue the others. So there's one which is floating in the water somewhere. That might be a thread that is worth going and investigating. At some point it might be good to physically go back and look at that note. Well, I mean, it's just down this path, so we can physically go back and look at it now. Because it's just in here. I believe on this desk, in fact. So, where were we? It's kind of... It's on one of these pages. Oh, that's weird. Oh no, it's not on one of these pages. It's on a different note, is it? Ah, it's over here. It's this one. Oh, it's literally here. I don't recognise that sound. Okay. Now, let me go back to the animal puzzle notes that we have. Because... So that is a number 1, which is fine. I'm not sure how I would describe that sound. Yes, it's kind of a weird sort of... It's like a sliding sound, isn't it? It sounds like a wooden ball rolling on a wooden table. It kind of does, doesn't it? You're absolutely right. It doesn't sound... It sounds like a wooden ball. Anyway, maybe it doesn't make the noise after you. Maybe it doesn't make the noise after you take it out of the thing. Yeah, that is true. Interesting that you can look at this part of the table, which is sort of interesting. Is there a thing to look at here? Unclear. In any case... we are going to... let's head back to the village and see if we can have a look out in the water at the various places. Now, Gehn said in his note that it was from his observation point. Now, I don't think that's his... I'm not sure that's going to be his bone chair. It might be his bone chair, of course. But it might be like one of his projection... might be one of his projection things. I mean, it could well be his bone chair, to be fair. But he says it's the entrance to the bay. Which I think we're going to kind of know roughly where that is, I reckon. I have a feeling it's where the where you're able to turn right to look out of that window. That's probably where the bay entrance is. Now, are we going to get there with tiny submarine, or are we going to get there with... I love the fact that it requires like a chain linkage to pull you up the rest of this way. A lot of thought has clearly gone into the relative topology of these islands. Okay, here we are. Now... which part of the village are we trying to make our way to? Let's start this direction, but it might be the other. It might be the other entrance that we're looking at. So the way I'm thinking this is probably going to go down is if we get the animal puzzle done, will that get the villagers to trust us sufficiently that they will open those planks, allowing us to get to the other part of the village? Yeah, so this kind of feels to me like the entrance to the bay, right? Over on this side. Now, what can we see here? I don't see any obvious way to look down here. Now, it could also obviously be tiny sub that we're looking to take, right? Because the entrance to the bay could be something else. Where did I leave the sub? Ah, it's right here. Excellent. But it does feel like that... Oh, wait. What's that? Is that not it? Hang on. You can't really see it from this angle. What exactly did he say in his note? He said... Swam out to a small object. Appeared to be floating but anchored near the entrance to the bay. Yeah, near the entrance to the bay. That does kind of seem to fit the bill, doesn't it? Just to check which way around I currently am. Wait a minute. So we want to head sort of towards the ring. Which, if I look at the little map I made... So hang on, wait. Start. Telescope. Am I at the telescope now? Ah, shoot. I should have named these slightly better, shouldn't I? But okay. Let's go this direction. Yeah, so that's taking me towards the ring. Now we're underwater right here, so we're not... Yeah, okay, so if we were... So this will take us back to where we just got out. Okay. And I don't think there's anything further in this direction. Nope. Okay, thinking. It might be then that there's got to be... If we can't get to it, we're going to have to maybe try and get it to the shore somehow. That's a way forward. This is, of course, on the assumption that that floating ball is what we're actually after. We've got Spiper in the chat. Good day to you. Hope you're having a great day. Maybe it's got something to do with this this little telescope thing that's jutting out of the water. Yeah, having something to do with that would seem to be a sort of obvious thing. Yeah, doing pretty reasonable, you know. Me and the family are feeling all a lot better now. Had a pretty kind of questionable couple of weeks, but you know, yeah, all feeling okay now mostly. Okay, the other things I'm thinking about is the switches, right? One of the places you can go in the tiny submarine is a place with a whole bunch of switches. Now what the switches do is they extend these platforms out to the submarine. It feels very kind of... is the answer to that puzzle really you just flip all of the switches up? Do the switches do anything else? Now the thing is, the switches are Gehn's switches, right? They're not the villagers' switches. So I don't think the villagers are using the tiny submarine. Or maybe they are, to be fair. Because someone's got to be dropping people off at the bottom. Oh, no. You lower people down to this thing, right? I don't think people are getting to the wark fishing by taking the sub there. Well, indeed, yeah. Why are the switches there? I mean, it restricts people's movements about, right? So the switches in that tower is maybe something to think about, whether they change anything around the place beyond just allowing you to get in and out of the sub, right? Because that's the only thing we're certain that the switches do. You've listened through the previous episodes on YouTube, you have a better grasp of where we're at now, yeah. So we've got two major threads that we're working through. We've got the animal puzzle, of which I'm pretty sure that's what we're trying to get to. And I don't think we can get to it directly. I think we're trying to get it to us somehow. And we've got the marble puzzle, which we're sort of working through. Well, given that we're here, let's have a look at those switches. Because, like, the school... So the switches have to stay on. The school can be taken off. This starting point could be taken off. Sorry, no. The school and the start could be taken off. And we can leave the telescope on, or maybe turn the fishery off. And just see if that does anything. Problem is, we don't know which one's a which, of course. So... Oh, we need to turn around. So, let's go and have an experiment with those. It'd be a great time to remind everyone, whilst this is going on, that we do have a Discord. So if you would like to chat between streams, particularly about providing recommendations for future games or recommendations for things you'd like to see in the stream itself, or on the YouTube, Discord is the place to go, which you can get to by typing Discord in the chat. As well as just typing commands to see all of the commands that are available. Okay, so to give you guys an idea of where we are in our map, we are at Gehn's fishery right here. So another forward will take us to another crossroads, and we can work our way back around. This world wasn't built for you with puzzles for puzzles' sake. No, indeed. And that's one of the really good things about the design of Cyan Worlds games in general, I would say, is that the puzzles all kind of make logical sense within the context of the world. And in that respect, it reminds me a lot of, like, the only other game that really kind of sells that kind of vibe to me is Outer Wilds, particularly with when it comes to things like So it looks like we dropped connection ever so briefly there. Looks like we are back now, but let me see. It looks like our bitrate is fine again. It looks like we're back live. Oh, excellent. That's great to know. For those of you watching on YouTube in the future, yeah, I've had a couple of connection issues last week as well. I'm going to have to talk to my ISP about that. But, yeah, weird. But for those of you on YouTube in the future, I am also taking a local recording as well, so you shouldn't see any disruption at all. Let's take a print of this one, and we'll try and just make a note of which switch is which. Fastest way to do this, probably do it in twos, right? So we'll do 1 and 3 first. Yes, as I was saying, the only other game... Right, neither of those are the switches. So let's do 2 and 4. Major Mad Milk followed. Thank you very much for the follow. It's very much appreciated. Right, 1 of 2 and 4 is that switch. So let's check number 4. Okay. So sorry, just a double check quick. Yes, it's currently not extended. So that means number 4 is the switches. Let's turn off 1 and 3 and work out what that gives us. But yes, what I was saying just as I got disconnected was that the only other game that really has given me that kind of vibe of a world where the puzzles exist irrespective of your own interaction with them has been Outer Wilds, particularly with things like the gravity crystals, right? Because Outer Wilds has this whole kind of thing about how the first generation of the Naomai were scattered between Ember Twin and Brittle Hollow, but they were on escape pods, so they didn't have any means of communicating or moving between those two planets. And what they did was they basically found the gravity crystals on Brittle Hollow, built a shuttle on Brittle Hollow using the gravity crystals, packed that shuttle full of other gravity crystals, and flung that at Ember Twin so that the Naomai stranded on Ember Twin could build their own shuttle because they didn't have access to gravity crystals. And that's the only reason that Ember Twin has gravity crystals. They are all from Brittle Hollow's shuttles. And then they managed to develop, by studying the black hole in... This is all massive spoilers for that game, incidentally, but it's all background lore. But they managed to study the black hole at the centre of Brittle Hollow, work out how to do teleportation, And so that's why the shuttles, the Now My shuttles in Outer Wilds, are all janky, because as soon as they worked out how to do teleportation, that's how they travel between planets. So the shuttles that you see in Outer Wilds are like their Gen 1 shuttles, which is why they're all really bad at navigating, and why your ship is better than their ship, even though they were more technologically advanced, is because they didn't bother making it any better. Right, so we've flipped 1 and 3, yeah? If I recall correctly. So number 4 is the switches. We've flipped 1 and 3. Incidentally, I mean, like, trying to convince people in the puzzle game community to check out Outer Wilds, because it's a great game, is a little bit like, you know, if you guys haven't played Outer Wilds already, you must have been living under a rock, because the game is already like 5 years old or something, and it's really good. Okay, so this one is open. So it's not the school. Says the guy playing Riven 20 years after release. In my defense. Living under a rock or working out how to come back from epilepsy. Is Outer Wilds not photosensitive secure? It might not be. Yeah, that's a really good point. And incidentally, the other game that I'm playing, the other point and click that I'm playing at the moment on the YouTube, Labyrinth of Time, that is very much not safe for people with photosensitivity at all. Like, to the point where it's a little bit like, yeah, no, that could not be done like that today at all, really. That's very much an artifact of the 90s. Most games have the warning. Yeah, to be honest, I think if I was to put my cynicism hat on, I would say that most games put that warning on to cover themselves rather than it being an actual reflection of how the game is. So Gehn's Fishery, so one of these two is Gehn's Fishery. And when we then go back to our map that we drew, so let's continue onwards, and we'll check out the telescope, and that kind of tells us one of two of the things. I've accidentally turned it rather than selecting the fork. Wrong button. Wrong button. But yes, how did it take me 30 years to come back round to Myst? I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, really. I think maybe the point and click nature of it kind of made it, for me, a little bit of a harder sell. It was really the Myst remake. And I played that recently and I really enjoyed it. See, that doesn't really seem to have moved, in honesty. And that doesn't really seem to have moved either. And we've flipped two of the switches. But okay, so by process of elimination, the start must be one of the ones that has been retracted. Whoops, wrong way around. So Gehn's Fishery has been retracted, and the start has been retracted, but we will just make doubly sure on that one. But yeah, I mean, if you go back to episode 1, like, there is of Riven, I have a certain amount of nervousness in episode 1 that we're going to start streaming this game and I'm going to hate it. Because, like... And you can sort of see my my genuine surprise at how well the game has held up. Because even really tiny quality of life things, like having side wipes from left to right as you transition, as you are turning, for example, do help sell that sense of immersion a little bit better. Like, in my mind, I had a very kind of 1993 view of what this game was going to be like, rather than a 1997 view of what this game was going to be like, let's say. Was I afraid of hating it or telling you that I hate it? That's a really interesting question. It's always going to be... There's always going to be a certain amount of nervousness, I think, in terms of being honest that you don't like something that a lot of other people really enjoy, you know? I think that's probably how I would summarize that. Like, there's certainly a lot of pressure that you put on yourself to stick with things, and I have this on the YouTube as well, for sure. If you start a game and you're not going to stick with it, in a way, I would feel better about, like, not putting the recording up at all than putting a partial playthrough up and then just, like, not ending it. And I've discussed before that this is one of my things about The Witness, right? Because I have a Witness playthrough on my YouTube channel, but I'm missing the last couple of episodes on it, which is really inconvenient, right? Because occasionally people will comment on that final part, sort of saying, you know, when are you going to do the next part of this? And it's like, oh, that's really awkward, because it is actually a partial playthrough. We should go back and do The Witness again, right? Because I've never done the obelisks and stuff to get a little bit more towards that 100% completion. There's a few puzzles that I never worked out. But, yeah, it's awkward, right? But having, I mean, that's slightly different, though, because I really like The Witness. But the one that I started recently, but never actually uploaded at all, was I recorded 3 episodes of Tears of the Kingdom. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I got, you know, I got like an hour and a half in, 2 hours in. Like, I mean, 3 episodes is about 2 hours worth of gameplay. And I just wasn't really feeling it. And I was like, okay, well, you know, if you're 3 episodes in, like, ditching 3 episodes from a recording is... That's not really that much. Like, I think it's better to cut your losses on a game like Tears of the Kingdom. If you're not feeling it after 2 hours, it's better to cut your losses, really, and just be like, yeah, that's not the game for you, rather than try and persevere. And I think there is a certain amount of not wanting to disappoint people, right? Because if you are watching someone's stream or watching someone's recordings on YouTube, and you invest like 5 hours into watching that playthrough, and then the playthrough just ends and it doesn't conclude, I could see that being really disappointing for viewers. Like, I would be disappointed, you know, and I've certainly had that disappointment firsthand before, when I've been watching a playthrough and it doesn't finish, doesn't conclude. Okay, we're heading back to the switches. So we closed out 1 and 3, and that is the fishery and the start. So let's swap to 2 and 4, and that will... so where are we up to? I think we're up to the fishery right now, yeah? So we need to get to our next... Yes. So we're going forward again, and then flipping ourselves round, and then working back to the switches. But yeah, I mean, I think if I'd started Riven and just not liked it, I don't think we would. I don't think it's a game that we would stick with for, you know, seven streams, you know. There is a difference between not enjoying a game and actually hating it. I do feel a certain amount of sympathy for streamers where they have built their stream, they've built their online presence around a single game, and you can tell after a point that they are not enjoying it in the same way that they used to enjoy it, you know? And you see that with YouTubers as well. Right, so we have identified number 4, so it's... Well, we can leave those two down, actually, because we don't need those anyway. I'm kind of interested in only having switches and telescope out. So let's flip number 5 and see where number 5 takes us. We've tried looking out the window before, and the window's not terribly helpful in terms of working out which platforms are extended or not. So we've additionally flipped number 5, and that's either going to be the school or the telescope. So I used to be very, very big on following Magic the Gathering and following the Magic the Gathering community, right? You can't see it, it's just out of shot, but I have my my game day championship playmat still framed behind me. It's the most important thing I ever won as a Magic the Gathering player. But there's a lot of content creators that are very successful, right? You know, they've made a career out of Magic the Gathering, but you do sometimes get the feeling that, like, are they really enjoying this game anymore? Because, like, they're having to churn this content out. They're having to churn out the never-ending... Actually, it'd be easier for us to check the school first rather than the telescope. They're having to be on the never-ending hype train, right? That there's always the next set coming out that they have to get excited for. And I believe they're now doing 5 sets a year or something like that. So it's literally like a set will release, and then they're having to put out content about that new set and how it's changing the meta and so on and so on. But then there's also immediately spoiler season for the next set that's coming. And as well as putting out 5 core sets, you're also putting out all the ancillary material like Commander and things like that. Right, so this has actually put the school away. So we know then that number 5 is the school. So that means we know by process of elimination that number 2 must be the telescope. Now it makes me kind of wonder if whether actually moving the telescope one itself would move the thing. Yeah. Oh, that would be pretty sneaky, to be fair. Sorry, I'll bring the map up for you guys so that you can see where we are. Okay, so we're at the school. We'll turn ourselves back round. We're going to make our way back to the telescope. And if we get to the telescope and there's no change, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the switches and we're going to turn Gehn's fishery back on and turn the telescope off, because we can go up from Gehn's fishery and then down the other ladder. Yeah, and then down the other ladder. And see if flipping the telescope switch itself has changed anything. If that doesn't do anything, I think we're going to take a break, go back to the first island again. This is Gehn's fishery, so we're going to just move straight through this one. We're going this way, round this loop here. Okay, so this will take us back up to the telescope. Any notable thoughts you've had on Riven since the last stream? Okay, so notable... I'm not sure. I don't know, actually. So that doesn't seem to have moved at all. And that hasn't done anything either. I'm not sure. No, I don't think I have any particularly notable thoughts. I mean, in terms of, you know, where our major investigation avenues are, I think Fire Marbles and Animal Puzzle, I think we're pretty kind of locked in on those two puzzles right now. I don't think we have any other major investigation threads. Yeah, I'd have to have a think. So what we're going to do is we're going to now turn the telescope off, turn Gehn's fishery back on. Well, we could either do it with Gehn's fishery or we could do it with the starting point, actually. And given that the ball is between the fishery and the starting point, maybe we do it that way around, where we actually get the starting point on and we turn the telescope off. Incidentally, in tomorrow's stream, our Monday night stream, we're going to be doing something new. So last time out we did Linelith and we did the Hello Again demo. Linelith is up on the YouTube channel. Hello Again, that's the demo for Hello Again. That's going to be up on the YouTube on Wednesday. Tomorrow night we're going to try something new. It's going to be a game called Cocoon. Cocoon is it's just come out fairly recently, but it's sitting on Steam at the moment with overwhelmingly positive reviews. And it also comes with a recommendation from someone as well. So yeah, we're going to give that a go and see how that is. So wait, hang on, it's this way. It's over here. So, the start and the fishery, we are going to we're going to turn the telescope off, and we're going to turn one of these two, right? We'll turn that one on, but it's hard to know which one's which. It would actually help, though, if I did make note of which one I did flip. Right, I flipped the third one. That might be important to remember. So, well, we'll go with whichever one is, we will go with whichever one has an exit available, right? Of course, Gehn's fishing spot is a one-way route, so we will have to wait for our tiny sub to respawn, which I think it just respawns if you swap island anyway. Yes, indeed, Artavelli, a telescope. It's yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. We can't get to it. I presume we can get underground somehow to get to it. Probably. I'm gonna put the odds at something like an 80% chance that it's just going to be a door behind a door again. Right, so we now know which of these is which. So the fishery is... we flipped up the third one, and the starting one is this one. So that's all of them. Yes, that's the sound. I've been reliably informed. That's the sound of a wark banging against the bottom of the metal there. So up we go. Yes, how we would get underground? Who can say? The Wark Gallows. So we can get back round here, and yeah, this hasn't moved. Yeah, that's not moved. That's not moved. So maybe the switches don't... Maybe the switches are not where it's at with this. Because we flipped all of those switches in a few different combinations, and... yeah, it's just not moving what I expect to move. Or it's not moving what I hoped would move, to be fair. Tricky, tricky. Okay. Do you know what, the other thread which I'd kind of forgotten about, actually, which we don't really have a clear answer for yet, but actually maybe it's back in Gehn's journal here, is... oh, I actually don't have a... yeah, actually I don't have a diagram of it. Oh, okay, fine. It's the thing. You know the thing on the first island? It's a thing that kind of looks like this, and it's got a ring around it, and it's going into a hole, which presumably goes somewhere. You know the thing I'm talking about on the first island? Yeah, that thing is still an avenue of investigation as well. I'd forgotten about that. The scope is definitely a thing. Yes, it has two ends. Sure. So, I mean, getting into there, I can believe that for sure. Where you'd get into there from. I mean, looking at this, I mean, if you were to put a tunnel here, because of the way the train tracks are, I mean, maybe we can make a pretty sensible guess that it would be somewhere from around here. Because... I mean, looking at where the where would you fit a tunnel? Well, not where the water is, obviously, unless it's really deep, you know, because Gehn can make lifts and stuff, right? He can make elevators. So yeah, hidden door. That would be the start point, what we've labelled as start previously, which you get to from... I think we actually just go up and then down, right? Tunnels, so uncivilized. Well, quite right. Hang on, wait a minute. Tunnels. Yeah. No, yeah, this is Gehn. It's Gehn's telescope. Do you know what? That's probably the observation platform he's talking about anyway. Yeah, no, this is not the thing I thought it was. We would need to go down here, down here. New follower, Dawn Bomb. Thank you very much for the follow. Does he call it a platform? What does he call it? He calls it a... From the scope in my survey room. He calls it his survey room. I mean, if this is... I mean, Gehn's sort of places that he's known to frequent, you know. I mean, obviously inside the giant frog statue is always going to be a good shout, right? The giant frog statue obviously takes you up to the bone throne. We can obviously go... We can obviously take this lift down, though. Which takes us to a tiny train. So yeah, I don't think we're finding a hidden path this way. Oh, yeah. Could try going down the lift. Yeah. Because, I mean, even though this is made of wood, this is very much Gehn's lift, right? And this is indeed taking us underground. It's other way though, other direction, isn't it? Yeah. And I don't think there's anything on that opposite platform. I wonder, what happens if you... No, you have to call it, don't you? Yeah, you have to call the lift. Yeah, I'm pretty sure last episode we've looked at this other platform in here more closely, and I think we concluded that it's not a thing. Yeah, you can't even exit. Can't even exit here. Okay. Well, we're not going to go that way because I have no interest in going back to that island right at this moment. It is quite clever. It is quite cleverly laid out in that regard. Totally agree. Okay. I think where we're going to go... just because I don't want to forget about our other avenue of investigation, right, is picking up the thread on the fire marbles. Let's spend the last 20 minutes or so having a look at our first island and trying to find where that dome is on the first island. We could also try and fiddle around with the zeotrope on the other island as well. Yeah. Think about other times you've seen surveillance. Did it have to be very close? No, not particularly. I mean, Gehn has remote observation equipment. Right. So let's have a think. This way, and I believe, is the train here? The train is here. So yeah, so perhaps not a tunnel then. Perhaps not a tunnel to literally take you there, but some other kind of recording equipment. Survey room. Where would his survey room be? Or could be any of Gehn's rooms, right? But you are right, he doesn't say a platform, he says a survey room. We have got a room with cameras in it on the first island. We've obviously got his summer house. We have his underwater lair. A few different options. Did the folks on YouTube ever explain the rules behind writing ages? It's not something that's ever fully explained, but Gehn's journal did mention descriptive linking books. So I know that the art is not something you're born with, it's a skill that you can learn. I know that Gehn's abilities with the skill, with the art, are not as good as Atris. And I know that Gehn's writing is mostly copying and pasting from other people's work. I believe that Gehn and Atris have learned the art from the Denis. But my understanding is that the Denis aren't around anymore. Is that correct? Because they don't have, well, that seems to be the implication anyway. So that's observing this, and that's observing the train. So I don't think either of those are going to be a thing. But let's have a little look around the first island. So we are looking for a dome that looks a little bit like that, but probably a touch smaller. And in terms of where it is, it's sort of going to be around the back of the first island somewhere, but somewhere kind of vaguely high. So I could be there. Oh, it depends on the orientation of it, doesn't it? That is all correct. Excellent. I'm glad I've been paying enough attention. Do you know what? I think maybe we do actually need to go back to Plateau Island, because I think that maybe I've gone and messed up the orientation of this one. Because is this dome actually on that side of the island? Because it could be. Or is it behind this dome? That, I think, is Prison Island, right? Probably. It's very little. It's very small. Ah, shoot. Yeah, okay, right. Let's make our way back to the Plateau Island and get a better sense of actually the topography of this, because I'm not really 100% sure which direction I'm supposed to be facing right now. Fastest way back to there, I think there is only... we can get back to Crater Island easily enough by going round the back here, can't we? Wait, it's right there. Okay, cool. That's the one. Right. Breadstick Ninja, first time chat. Welcome to the chat. 3 Myst novels that go into it all. They're quite good. If you enjoy storytelling in games, it's a safe bet you'll enjoy the books too. They're not all necessarily for finishing the games, but they do really enrich them. I could believe that they're quite good. The lore of Myst does seem to be very well thought through, right? Because the writing, the puzzles are very integrated into the environment. So it does feel like, it almost feels like they've created the world first and then set the story in it. The Lord of the Rings method, let's say. I'm sure that's possibly not true. I'm sure they came up with some puzzles first and then figured out how to incorporate them. We need to get up these stairs, but where do those stairs go? No, I probably didn't want to do that. Book of Atris is really good. Book of Tiana is also really good. Book of Denis, okay. That's cool. Does it follow the Dune principle of every subsequent book is 2/3 as good as the book that came before it? Book of Denis takes place after Riven. Oh, right, okay. So Book of Denis is the one that is spoilerific. It's not that bad, don't worry. Fair enough. I'm still working my way through Dune at the moment, although do not worry about spoilering Dune for me, because I know the plot of Dune pretty well. Dune is another one whose lore I think is super duper interesting, but I've never actually sat down to physically read the books until fairly recently. And I would like to get the first book done before the second movie comes out. I'm super hype for the second film. Nobody tell him about the worms. Ah, yeah, no. Here's the thing, right? I tell you what, it took me an embarrassingly long time before I realised that spice is oil. It's an allegory. Genuinely, I kind of felt like, oh my god, how how did I not see that? But yeah, no, that took me an embarrassingly long time to realise. It's like, oh yeah, what happens if we base the entire economy of our fictional universe on a single commodity that can only be found in certain locations? And it's like, yeah, what if, right? There's a set of stairs which aren't going anywhere. Or which aren't connected to anything. Where do those stairs go? Got it. Got it. It's two platforms that go up and down together. Take that, Rand. Your tricks don't work on me anymore. Let's do it. Ah, this is going to be green. I can see it. I can see it already. Didn't quite get it on the Zeotrope itself, but got it afterwards, which is excellent. Ah, thank you very much for the cheer, Amachak. That's amazing. Thank you. Amachak cheered 100 bits. That's awfully generous, thank you very much. So that is our first island. This was... what I'm doing is I'm going to keep these notes separate just because in case... so that I have an audit trail, right? Because if I just write the conclusion, right, because this is the conclusion over here, if I only write the conclusion, I have no audit trail on how I reach that conclusion, yeah? Which makes it very hard to work out what's gone wrong later when you do mess it up. We've got 3 out of 4. We need to work out then on Plateau Island. We need to work out why that Zeotrope is not in the correct orientation, and go back there. But here we go. You've wanted to explore Riven in VR since you were a wee lad. I tell you what, like, so I do have a VR. Oh man, it's like it's under my desk at the moment. I've never got it. I haven't got it set up since I got my new rig, but it's been on my list because one of my nephews really wants to come around and play the VR at some point, and every time he's come round so far, I've been like, ah, shoot, I forgot to do that. I should get round to do that. On the other hand, yeah, man, my ears right now, I'm not sure I'd be able to handle it. Yeah, genuinely. There is a cranky fish in that body of water whom we know is prone to whamming himself into things. That's something to think about. You ever notice how the upper levels of the Great Dome is visible from the bridge to Crater Island, just to clue players that there is something up there? Well, yeah, no, that's fair. Like, I thought it was clear there was something up there because even before you get to this bridge, well, I suppose depending on which order you unlock it in, you know that you can get a... Because I think we got... No, wait, you must have... No, you must get to this bridge before you get the other stairs pointing upward. Or you can point the stairs upwards, but you can't then get to them. Phil C in the chat, still haven't caught up on this episode. Watching Labyrinth still. We'll catch you on the rerun on YouTube. Have a great day. You have a great day too, Phil. Thanks for dropping by the stream briefly. We're on our way back to Plateau Island, incidentally. Labyrinth of Time. It's definitely an experience, right? Labyrinth of Time, I might be, after the next episode that's going to air, might be looking for a hint on that one, because that's a point and click adventure game with a difference, right? The difference being that, oh man, it is unapologetically 1993 in its design. Soft locks, items which don't do anything, trial and error puzzles. Oof. It's it's pretty out there. I mean, for a recap, the reason we're working through Labyrinth of Time is because that was one of the games that I had on my old Apple back when I was a wee lad, and I would quite like to see the end of it, to be honest, because it is a strong kind of nostalgia game for me. But well, I'm gonna put it out there. It's not very good. It's not a very good game. Yeah. We've got soft locked in it at least once so far, and had to reload an old save. Actually, no. Sorry, scratch that. Tell a lie. We've got soft locked in it twice so far, at least. Right? Admittedly, the game manual does give you a clue to avoid one of those soft locks, but still not overly enthused with that game at the moment, I have to admit. This hole has to do something, right? I reckon. A lot of people miss the lever and get on the bridge before they find out that the other bridge raising. Artivelli, I've been there. Ah, right, okay. Is that the top of the elevator shaft underneath? Oh, of course, because we the hidden door on the other side of the platform that you kind of have to work. Yeah, no, makes sense, makes sense. Well, I think it's very kind of poetic in a way that we're going to be ending this stream in the same place that we started it. Trying to work out what this dome is. Trying to work out how we can reposition this thing. Like, I just kind of want to... Can we not just, like, twist this around somehow? Have we been to 133? Well, I tell you what, as of today on the YouTube, we are at 133 subscribers. But I have a feeling that maybe that's not what you're referring to. Have we been to 133? I don't know what you mean. Unless 133 is the name of the world on the other end of the linking book. The one I've been calling the 98th. If that is what you mean, no. We are trying to work out... Yes, the 98 turd. It's 223rd. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Nine times 25 plus 8. Ah. Hashtag quick maths. I like it. So this is the one we're stumped by. If we work out which marble is needed here, we can work out which marble is required by Prison Island through process of elimination. We can literally try the two options. If we don't work out which marble is required here, it means that we have a permutation 3P2 problem. It's not a 3 choose 2, it's a 3P2. Which, if I get my trusty calculator out... Oh, my calculator ain't even in my drawer. Ah, shoot. 3P2. It's going to be, what? 1, 2, 3, 4... It's 6. The answer's 6, 3P2. Is it terribly onerous to try 6 combinations? No. A little bit maybe disingenuous to the spirit of the puzzle. But it is an option for us, because working through 6 combinations is not... outside the realms of possibility. Not just quick maths, just remembering. Gehn's actor sadly passed away. Oh no. Lucky they didn't pick that number for his age instead. I forgot how to activate the Easter egg where he sings opera? What? Incidentally, we're going to have a little fight. There's a giant knife coming through this wall. I've just noticed that. Further looking at... Further fuel to my theory that in fact the age of Riven is populated by tiny people. Right? Because this is the 4th giant knife that we've seen. And that doesn't look like it was put there by the local residents, let's say. Oh, what? Yeah, it's literally just a giant knife sticking out of a thing that they've hung these chains from. Now this platform, sorry, I just smacked my mic there. This platform is clearly a Gehn constructed platform, right? Because of the metallurgy of it. So the giant knives predate Gehn. Very interesting. And it's deliberately arranged so that from like the front you just wouldn't really see it. There are a lot of things, I think, in this game which are sort of about perspective and forced perspective and seeing things from certain angles, and like when we were tracing where do those stairs go earlier, or where are those pipes, and trying to kind of count the angles of things. And I think a lot of that is going to be lost when this actually gets translated to 3D. Just catch up on the chat still. You think a few episodes back you were asking about other 90s puzzles games. You've managed to track down one that you've been trying to play since you were a kid. It's finally on Steam. Still playing it in quite near the start, but it's so nostalgically 90s, called Obsidian. Okay, I will check that out. Nothing else is silly putty. What? I don't get that reference at all. Yeah. Are you supposed to work it out from the ones you can see? You can't see any of them. And it opens so far off in the distance. Yeah, we're going to need to have a think about that one. However, as far as today's stream goes, we are out of time for today. Thank you, everyone, very much for watching today. We're going to say a quick goodbye to the YouTube people in the future, first of all. So if you are watching on YouTube in the future, thank you very much for watching this episode of Riven. Do make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and come back for the next episode where I reckon one way or another we are going to be solving that marbles puzzle. Thank you very much for the subscription, Breadstick Ninja. Thank you very much. So if you're watching on YouTube in the future, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week. I will see you soon. Bye for now. For those of us on Twitch, and thank you very much for the subscription. And Artavelli, thank you very much for the follow.